Welcome everyone to ImaginativeVisions.com. Justin here, back with another review for Across the Pond. We're going to be reviewing stuff from our friends across the pond over there in the UK. And today we have a supernatural thriller to talk about, Possession. As always, I give you a brief synopsis, so without further ado, here we go. Claudia, a biracial lawyer, journeys to a Jamaica haunted plantation to fight an inheritance claim. Uncovering dark historical secrets intertwined with modern injustices intensifies her nightmare. And forgive me for botching names. This stars Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Johnny Lee Miller, and Sheldon Shepherd. So, how does this supernatural thriller hold up? Well, let's talk about it. Possessions is a supernatural drama that works when it's focusing on not trying to be a traditional horror and more on the history buried beneath its central mystery. This 5 episode limited series, as I told you, follows Claudia, but Claudia is a successful lawyer who travels to Jamaica after becoming involved in this complicated inheritance case. And a wealthy businessman has left his estate to a mysterious Jamaican man instead of his own son. And what begins as a legal investigation gradually becomes something much more personal for Claudia. The setup immediately gives the series a strong hook because there are several questions driving the story at once. Who exactly is Cujo East? Why was he chosen to inherit the estate? What happened at Hope Hill, the former plantation connected to the family? And as Claudia starts searching for answers, she begins experiencing strange visions and encounters that suggest past surrounding the property may not be as distant as everyone believes. Mabatha Raw is easily the strongest part of Possessions. Claudia begins the series as someone who approaches everything through logic, evidence, and professional experience, which makes watching that confidence slowly break down much more compelling and effective. And she delivers Claudia a performance that's not the typical horror protagonist who immediately accepts everything happening around her. There's resistance there, there's confusion and fear, and that made her performance so believable. Just her body language, her facial expressions, and add Claudia's connection to Jamaica also adds another layer to the character. She's not simply an outsider arriving to investigate someone else's history. There's deeper. And the deeper she goes into the case, the more she's forced to examine her own identity and relationships with the country. And that gives the series more emotional weight because her investigation gradually stops being pure professional. And then we have Sheldon Shepherd, who's also good as Kojo East, and he carries the kind of mystery presence that needs the series needs without making him feel like someone who exists only for the plot and to hide information from us, the audience. You get the feeling that East knows more than he's willing to reveal, but there's enough humanity behind the mystery to keep him interested. And then we have Johnny Lee Miller, who plays Oliver, who gives Oliver a lot of depth. And what I did like is that we don't have the typical bratty, angry, wealthy son who believes he's been cheated out of his inheritance. The series allows his frustration to become more complicated. You understand why he wants answers while also recognizing that the show is questioning whether his family was ever even entitled to everything possessed in the first place. And that becomes the strongest element of possession is truly the mystery behind the inheritance more so than the supernatural. Now, don't get me wrong, the supernatural elements are pretty good when they try not to be a traditional horror. The first 2 episodes with the supernatural I thought were very subtle and kept with this less is more. And I thought for the most part it worked in the early stages. But then when they try to go traditional horror is when I think things kind of fell apart. Horror and Possessions is a very hit or miss because the series is much stronger at creating an unsettling mood and delivering genuine, frightening moments. When the horror works, it comes from the atmosphere, Claudia's disturbing visions, the spiritual elements, and the uncomfortable feeling that Hope Hill's history is still pressing down on everyone connected to it. And those scenes feel eerie because they are tied directly to the story's theme rather than existing just for a scare. The weaker moments come when the supernatural elements become more obvious and literal. And once the series starts explaining too much, some of the tension disappears, and a few scenes that are meant to be frightening do not have the impact they should have. And for me, the historical horror surrounding the plantation and what happened there is often more effective than the actual supernatural scares. And to be honest with you, I think this would have worked better without the supernatural. Just the horrors of what you're trying, of real life things such as slavery and the things of that alone is terrifying. Like if they just kind of kept it into real life, real grounded, I thought it would have just been a better thriller. But the supernatural elements, like I said, it's a hit or miss because there's things that's introduced in here. They try to touch on so much topics such as colonialism, reparations, identity, slavery, inheritance, family history, and spirituality while still trying to function as a supernatural mystery. And sometimes it comes together extremely well. Then there's moments where you feel like the series is trying to juggle too much with the 5 episodes that it was given. And that's why I can't quite put Possession into a must watch territory. I did enjoy the mystery, the performances are strong, and historical themes give the story much substance than I expected, and the performances are great. But the uneven tone, trying to juggle too much, and I wasn't too keen on the ending. So I'm gonna bring up the remote rating, and I'm gonna give it a solid season. Even though this is a limited series, it's not something that I will binge or something I'm just gonna go out there and hey guys, watch it, watch it, watch it. The supernatural material does not always hit as hard as the drama surrounding it, and truthfully, if you take away the supernatural elements, and if they would have just kept it into this whole mystery of the inheritance, I think you would have had a stronger show. That being said, my friends, I'm going to give Possession a solid, and that's going to wrap up our review for Possessions. Solid show, but not something I will say must watch or something I'm going to binge or will recommend that you binge. Had its moments, but overall, I was kind of disappointed. I honestly think that the supernatural element kind of hurt it more. I thought, for me, I was more interested in the whole mystery of the inheritance, and that I think without the supernatural element, I think we would have had a much stronger show here, and that's a shame. But anyway, this is Justin from ManchesterVisions.com. This is from across the pond. Comment below, let me know what you think of Possessions, and I'll be back with more reviews from our friends across the pond. Later days.